Woo! Okay. Hello, everyone. This has been a little bit of a trial. It's our first YouTube live broadcast, so thank you very much for hanging in there. Welcome to Arludo Live. This is the first time we're doing anything like this. I'm really excited to be here, and I really want to thank two special schools right now. Ms. Morgan's class, thank you so much for joining us. I am stoked to have you here. And second, Aurora College. And that is what I've been told, about 100 partner schools. So you guys are all over New South Wales, which I'm really excited to have you here. So if you want to pop into your comments and let us know where you're from, we'd love to hear it. But today I've got a really special show for you. It's our new attempt at doing some live science where we work with you guys and we interview some awesome scientists and we all do science together. So right now, I'd like to introduce Isabelle Kingsley.
Hey.
So Isabelle, thank you so much for putting up with the little bit of insanity that's kind of happening.
That's okay. You guys should have seen these guys. They were just going all over the place, super nervous, but it's all going to be good.
It's going to be great. It's going to be awesome. Isabelle, you had a really interesting career.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think it is. I'm very, very interested. So you are currently a PhD student.
Yes.
And what's really cool is you are almost done.
I am almost done, and it feels really good.
I bet. So you've got about 6 months left?
Three
Oh,
months.
nice.
Yeah, 3 months.
So, but I want to know what you did before you did this PhD. Because this is just one part of a big, long trip that you've kind of had.
Yeah, the trip of life.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, so I used to be, well, my first job was a teacher. So I was a high school science teacher. I also taught French and physical education. And I did that for about 5 years, and I really loved it. But I felt that the school environment wasn't just right for me.
Okay, it's interesting. So was it anything, is it just a single class kind of thing? You want to make a bigger splash?
To be honest, it was more how, so I taught in Canada.
Yes.
That's where our awesome exotic accent is from, Canada.
If you haven't noticed, yes.
So I taught in Canada, and yeah, I just felt like the education system wasn't right for me.
Yeah, fair enough.
I didn't feel like I got to teach people the way I wanted to teach.
Right.
So I decided I'm going to try something new, and I went and worked at a museum in Ottawa, at a science museum.
I didn't know about that one.
Yeah, and I loved it.
Okay.
I loved it. So when I moved to Australia, I decided I'm just going to keep going with that. And I worked at the Powerhouse Museum in Sydney.
Which is awesome.
And it's awesome, and the Australian Museum and the Sydney Observatory. And my job was science communication. Which
is very cool.
Yes. And yeah, that's what led me to what I'm doing now.
I don't want you to tell them what you're doing now quite yet.
Okay.
Because I really love I loved all the stuff that you did at the Powerhouse Museum.
Yes.
And you headed the Mars Lab.
Yeah, I definitely worked on, well, it was team.
Yes, of course, obviously. No, yes, obviously. Everything's a team, just like this.
Yeah, it's a team. But yeah, I worked at the Mars Lab.
Yep.
And the Mars Lab, do you know a little bit about the Mars Lab?
I do know a little bit, but I have a feeling they don't.
Okay. So essentially the Mars Lab is, it's a big recreation of the Martian surface. So it's in the Powerhouse Museum, and it was a collaboration between a few universities, and they made this really big Martian surface in the museum. And there were also these robotic rovers, like big robotic rovers, that were available for students to, from the classroom, so where you guys are right now, be able to teleoperate the rovers.
That's very cool.
Around the Mars Lab, around the surface of Mars, to conduct scientific investigations, pretty much like NASA scientists do. And I got to work on that. It was so cool.
And you talked to NASA scientists as well, didn't you?
Oh, yeah, I did.
Which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
So you sent us a picture about you hugging a rover That's not the rover, is it?
Yeah, it is.
It's the one that went to Mars.
No.
Okay.
It's the Mars Lab rover.
Oh, it's the Mars Lab rover. Okay, that makes
my
sense.
BFF.
Okay, that's weird.
No.
No, it's maybe not.
No.
Maybe not.
No.
Right,
So
okay.
yeah, so that's Mawson.
Okay.
And
it has a name.
Yeah, named
course.
after the Antarctic explorer.
Right. Okay.
And yeah, Mawson was one of the rovers that that students drove around the Mars yard.
Yeah. Very cool.
Yeah.
So you guys did you have multiple rovers there?
We had 3.
Oh man, the Power House Museum is a cool place.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. So you've pretty much after high school or after teaching in high schools, you pretty much dedicated your life to science comm, really.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. I mean, and science communication and science education kind of go like this. You know, science communication is just a more, I guess, informal education. So it's not classroom, but it's outside the classroom. But they're pretty much the same thing. Yeah.
But I guess you didn't have to stick to a curriculum, which was kind of nice and gave
Totally.
you a little bit more freedom. So for all the teachers out there, I think.
I mean, we stick to the curriculum anyway because we want to support teachers.
Of course.
Right? So,
yeah.
you know, we match everything we do with the curriculum, but there's a lot more freedom and flexibility.
Yeah, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
So then you've moved from doing a lot of science communication to researching how well science communication is working. And that's your PhD.
That's my PhD. Yeah.
Which is awesome.
I'm biased, but I think it's pretty awesome.
Yes, I think it's very awesome as well.
Yeah, it was interesting because actually so when you do a PhD, you have a supervisor, someone who kind of mentors you and helps you through everything. And my supervisor was the person who worked on the Mars Lab with me, Carol Oliver.
Yep.
And she approached me one day and said, you know, I really think you should do a PhD with me. We were working on the Mars Lab, and I actually laughed at her and said no.
Great first impression.
Yeah, no, thank you. And so she proceeded to talk to me and try to convince me for, I think, about a year.
Really? Took you a year to get convinced?
Yeah, it took me a year.
Yeah, okay, that's interesting.
I mean, it's a big thing to do a PhD, so I just didn't take it lightly. But I was doing the research anyway. I'm super curious. So I always wanted to know what we're doing, like, is it actually working? What are people learning from our programs? So I was doing that research anyway, so I thought, well,
might as well.
Let's do it.
Just jump right in. Well, this is a time, if anyone out there has a question, this is your chance. So type something into the YouTube section, into the comment section, and we'll just keep this conversation kind of flowing. But in the meantime, I'm still curious about a few other things.
Okay.
So as the questions start coming up, I'll keep our conversation kind of going.
Okay, sounds good.
So even though for a first little while, you were working at the museum.
Yeah.
And you were doing a lot of your research there as well, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so can you
tell us?
us?
That was my lab.
Yeah.
So I don't work in a lab like we're sitting in here. My lab is the school, and my lab is the museums and anywhere else. Yeah.
Because you want to see how people respond to the massive amount of science outreach that we do every day.
Yeah.
Which is a lot, isn't it?
There is so much science outreach everywhere. In Australia, it's just
kind of insane, isn't it?
Gone nuts. Yeah. So good, though.
It is great. And we get a lot of, everyone should do science outreach. Do you think that's kind of the case?
No.
I love that you said that.
No.
Because I feel that way a little bit as well.
Yeah, I mean, science outreach is really, really important.
Yeah,
so
I agree.
It needs to be taken seriously, and it can't just be kind of
tacked on.
Pretty much, it needs to be well thought out, well planned out, well resourced, and I'm a big advocate for science outreach being done by scientists.
Yeah, fair enough.
Not necessarily by, I mean, it's great that there's a lot of great science communicators
out there. Some amazing ones,
there, and that's awesome, but we need to involve those scientists. Get the scientists in the classroom, get the scientists in front of the camera.
But most scientists aren't, kind of happy to sit in front of a camera.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know. This is pretty stressful. I don't know. It's kind of crazy. You do really well with it.
Well, I didn't have to do all the tech stuff, so I wasn't stressed. But my experience with scientists, most of the scientists I know are just really cool, laid-back people who aren't the, the stereotypical kind of scientist
Fair
that,
enough.
that you think of,
Yeah.
right? So,
That makes sense.
with the lab coat and
Yep.
the glasses and super serious, they're
Yep.
they're like
Laid back.
us.
Regular people.
They're like regular
Regular
people. They're just like
people.
us, and they actually really like to do outreach and,
Yeah.
and chat to people.
Fair
so
enough.
that's my experience anyway.
So we just got a question from someone out there that says, Isabelle, can you explain a little bit what a PhD is kind of all about? Because we got to remember, I also forgot, we've got a bunch of high school kids who are still stressing out about tests and things. So maybe we can tell them a little bit about what a PhD actually is and what it involves.
It's interesting. I'm still figuring it out, and I still have 3 months to go. You figure it out as you go, really. But a PhD is basically, so you go into your science classroom and you do a lot of, note taking and learning of science content and stuff, and then you do homework and you do tests and exams. And university is similar to that, but a PhD is completely different because you need to do your own research. And what that means is you come up with something that you're curious about. For me, it was, hey, does science communication actually work? Like, do people learn something from it? So you come up with a question that's interesting to you, and that makes all the difference. Because when you're interested, you then really want to answer that question, and you're motivated to do it. So every day, almost, is really exciting.
I know the feeling.
And so you just do this research project, and you've got 3.5 years to do it, and you've got amazing people around you to support you and help you and guide you.
And I think that's really important to say. You don't do this yourself, do you?
Oh my gosh, no. Science is never done alone.
No, it's with a group of people. So all that group work that you guys do in classrooms, that's practice for really what a scientist really is.
Yeah.
So, you came up with an idea that you were interested in, but Carol probably helped you quite a bit and molded that idea and made sure it was something that could work, right?
Yeah, and all kinds of other people that I met along the way too, because you get really amazing opportunities to go to conferences or to go on field trips, and so I got to meet people from all over the world who influenced what I did. And so this research, I did experiments. On people, on humans.
Which is awesome, right?
Yes, so I got people to experience different kinds of science, science communication, science education. And then I asked them questions before and after, and then measured the difference between what they knew before and what they knew after, so I could see if they learned something, what they learned, how they learned.
So this is we got a question from Luca right now. So, could you speak a little bit to, what was some of the most amazing or the most amazing discovery that you kind of are really excited about? Are you allowed to say it? Because
no, I am.
Yeah. Okay.
No,
Cool.
I am.
Awesome.
I am. Okay. So my first experiment ever. I decided to test. I wanted to know if some of the science communication events in Sydney were, what people were learning. And so I tested people before and after, and then I ran the results.
Yep.
And the results come up, and I made all these beautiful charts.
Yep.
And their scores actually decrease. So imagine you do a test, and then you get your science lesson, and then you do the test again, and your mark goes down. Like, that's what my result was. The marks went down, and I thought,
oh my God, is
well,
this
I thought
working?
I made a mistake. So
That's
I did
fair.
it again.
Yeah, that's fair.
But it wasn't a mistake.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was really surprising, and I thought, what's going on?
And why are we doing all this science outreach if it isn't actually helping kids understand science?
Well, exactly. The thing, though, Mike, is that when I looked a little bit deeper and used, I had to get creative.
Yep.
Because science is all about creativity, right? It's not there's one recipe and you just go for it and it's like this is how it is.
Yep, absolutely.
So I thought, well, I had people in you. And so I thought, well, can I look at this in a different way? Maybe I can psychoanalyze the writing.
Yeah, to see how they're thinking?
Yeah.
Cool.
And I did. And it turns out that the marks were going down not because people were,
not understanding,
but because people's ideas were changing.
That's very cool.
And so like when you learn
Yep.
something, you actually already know something, and then you get this new information, and then you kind of go, okay, well, how does this new information fit within what I already know? And then you put it in, and this is called learning.
Yep.
And people were in the state of like,
Trying to figure out how those puzzle pieces
does
that
go
work together.
Very
Yes.
cool.
So that is my amazing discovery.
So what that really means, kind of in a nutshell, is that science outreach that we're doing is shaping how people think.
Yeah.
And it is helping them understand the world and make more sense of the world,
Yeah.
which is awesome.
It's awesome. But there's another little tidbit.
Yeah.
Is that the types of science outreach that work the best is the kind of what we call experiential learning.
Perfect.
So it's doing
Yes.
science. You know, not always just listening to a scientist talk about science. I mean,
Yes.
I think that's great, but
Yeah.
you know, actually getting young people like you guys in class or outside of the class actually doing the science and experiencing what it's like to be a scientist, that works the best.
I'm so happy you said that, because that's what we're doing next. We're gonna actually do an experiment
Okay.
where you guys will be doing the science. So hopefully you all have a mobile phone. So Rach, if we could get this set up. So what we'll actually be using today is a mobile phone to play. We'll flip that right side
Right.
up. So you guys will be able to see this on screen. And we will play one of the Arludo games.
Uh-huh.
And you and everyone out there, you'll all be collecting data. So for the folks in Miss Morgan's class, hopefully you guys already have the game Psych Test downloaded. But all the folks in Aurora College and everywhere else who are watching, if you want to head to the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store, and you can download a game called Psych Tests. Rachel, is that on screen right now? Then what we'll do, once you have that, we'll go back here. My fingers are too big to go back. There we go. We'll be playing the implicit association test game on that end. And if you hit this little button on the upper left-hand corner, it's a little notepad. I'm going to actually give this to you at this
Yeah,
point.
my
Because
tiny
now,
fingers.
yeah, I know your fingers are nice and slender and look much better than mine. And I will get you to type in a class code. And you guys, on your game, type in the exact same class code. And what that means is we're going to aggregate all that data that you guys are using.
Is there a code?
There is.
Oh, okay. I
So-
was like, hey, am I making this up?
No.
Great. Oh, no, okay.
It's the date today. So 11.
Okay.
No problem. I know. I have no idea what day it is anymore. June, all in lowercase. June.
Yeah, okay.
No, I'm saying it more for them, not for you. I know
Okay.
you know how to spell June. Don't worry about it. And 19 for the year.
Okay.
So 11 June 19.
11 June 19.
All in
done.
lowercase. Hit submit up there.
Yeah.
Oh, look at your fingers.
Oh, my
there we
fingers
go.
are fat too. Okay.
Your fingers look great, by the way.
Thanks.
So, so now everyone, if you're actually on there, you're linked up, and now you can press the implicit association test.
Okay, the one with the cat up.
No one with a cat.
Yeah, thumbs up, thumbs
Okay.
down.
So now we should, I think what suits really well to all the stuff that you kind of explore is science and gender.
Okay.
So we'll hit gender versus science.
Gender versus science, the first one, yep.
Okay. So Isabelle, you'll hit test set A.
Yeah.
Everyone out there watching, if your name, your first name starts from the letter A to the letter K, then I want you to do test set A. If you are, what comes after K?
L.
Sorry, it's freaking out. From L to Z, then I want you to do test set B. Okay? So we're going to have a natural experiment here where two people are experiencing two different treatment conditions.
Okay, so A to K is test A, and
that's right.
L to Z,
Is test
B.
B. So,
Okay.
there we go. Oops.
Whoops.
Let's hit that again. There we go. So let's go to test set A. So now just follow the things that are happening on screen.
Okay.
And you guys play your game, so you don't want to be influenced by what Isabel's doing on screen there. We may be having a little bit of problems on masking things, but you know, this is our first show. You got to give us a little bit of slack. We're still practicing.
So can I go? Like, can I?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, all right,
yes,
all right. Sorry.
So yeah, so you
Okay.
go hit next when you get the opportunity. Just want to read the headlines. So all of you guys just read the headlines and follow the on-screen kind of trials there. Pardon me. And then, yeah, so this is part of the experiment, and I'll explain what this all does after everyone has completed the experiment. We'll just keep going through at this point. And then I think you should go through 5 of these, and then we should
it says
start. So go for it.
Go for it, start.
So now it's kind of like a matching game.
Okay.
All right. So once you hit start, you'll be told what to do. So go ahead, hit start.
All right.
So part 1 of 1, there's 2 classifications: science
Yep.
or liberal arts.
Okay.
Okay. So you're going to get careers that are involved in different scientific careers or different non-scientific careers.
Okay.
And what you want to do is you want to match what's in the middle with the correct side.
Okay, so there's something in the middle, and I
Yep.
want to match it to either
Science.
or arts.
That's right.
Okay.
So, and you want to do it as fast as you can.
Oh,
Okay.
like a race?
You kind of like a race,
Alright.
Just as soon as you think what the answer is, you hit what what you think it is, and just keep your thumbs up there, everyone. So give it a go.
Okay.
So hit
Go.
start. So I'll try not to talk to you two. I'll talk to you guys. So you guys keep going through this and try and match things to the left and right as fast as you can. Okay. Don't worry about if you make a mistake. The game will tell you. It takes all that kind of stuff into consideration. This is what we call an implicit association test.
Okay.
All right.
Did I
Part 1.
win?
Yes.
Okay,
A round of
yes.
applause.
Thank you.
You did it. So now we do part 2 of 7. All of them are about that length, so it won't take
Okay.
too long. So now you're trying to match names to male or female.
Okay.
So names will pop up in the center,
Yep.
and you try to match, are they male or are they female?
Okay.
Okay? So give it a
Great.
go.
Okay.
So, they're not names. Sorry, this time. My apologies. They're family.
yes.
Yes, family members or masculine and feminine things, and we're going to match them to, typical kind of sex differences, male
Yeah.
and female.
Sure.
So we'll give
Yeah.
that one a go. That's
Okay.
part 2 done. Now this is where it gets a little bit more complicated.
Okay.
So you will get one of 2 things. You either get those same science things or art things, and you will get
Oh, yeah.
there you go. It just matches it. So, and you get male and female kind of carers. So what you want to do is tap the side that it should match on. And on one side, you've got liberal arts and female, and the
Yeah.
other side is science and male.
Arts
So
and female,
Yep.
science and male, whatever comes in the middle, I choose.
you choose exactly.
Okay.
So give it a go. We've got on-call, engineering, aunt. You're doing great, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive. Probably the best I've ever seen.
Thank you.
So just a couple of these. You guys do the same thing. So you guys are going through the exact same experiment that Isabel's doing here. Now we do part 4.
Okay.
Now, this one is the same kind of thing. You just want to redo it. So let's just jump right in there and do it one more time.
Okay. Science male, liberal arts female.
We're
but
just
they
switched them on the
flipped.
sides.
They flipped.
Yep.
Oh,
So we're going
you're
to see you
trying
check your handedness now. If you're left or right-handed.
Amazing.
Just make sure there's no differences between how your left and right fingers kind of respond. It's okay if you make mistakes. Making mistakes is totally normal in this test. Lots of mistakes, most often. You just want to go through all of them, just like Isabel's going through here. You guys do the exact same thing. Now, we'll do it one more time. We're going to reset again. And we've got liberal arts on the left.
Man, it makes me like a little bit, my heart rate a little bit.
A little bit nervous.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. Let's keep it going.
Okay.
Do it one more time. And now we're just switching sides on the career paths. So you guys do the same. Some of you guys can move ahead if you guys are getting through some of these things, so don't worry about it.
Yeah, don't follow me. I mean, I might be slow.
No, you're doing great.
Okay.
This also is the race, everyone, so you're
Not a
doing
race. I am winning now.
great. Yes, absolutely, 100%. So now you may have noticed what we've done.
Yeah.
So now the science is matched with female, and the liberal arts with male. So let's do the same thing.
So
You're
science, female, liberal arts, male.
Yep, go for it. Don't worry, you can do it, you can do it.
Oh my God, that's tricky. My brain's just freaked out.
And this is part of that implicitness that kind of happens to us when we see and read things every day. It's okay. It's totally okay if you make mistakes. It's totally normal. This is just a test that psychologists use to understand how people think about things. I'm gonna do the last one.
That's it?
One more. About 7 of 7. No, hit
Oh,
start one more
okay.
time. You got one more. Sorry, Isabelle. I gotta make you do one more time.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, let's do
So
this.
do that. Let's do it. And we're just doing that one more time. We've just switched the sides again. So you guys do it as quickly as you can as well. And let's see what we've kind of got. So you can kind of see how, you may have figured out what we're doing here. But this is what we're going to talk about. So those are your results. No, I know, it doesn't mean very much.
I don't know what that means.
I know. The interest, so what this game, so Rachel, if you could turn the camera back on us for a second. So what this game really does is it looks at our implicit biases.
Right. So what does implicit mean?
Right, that's a great question. So implicit is something that we just do and think without even thinking about it. It's just automatic.
Okay, is that why I had to go really fast?
Exactly.
Okay, yeah,
Okay.
makes sense.
So what we were measuring here is how easily people associate male things with different careers and how people associate female things with different careers.
Yeah.
So you kind of see what you were doing.
Yeah. It was tricky, I think.
It was. So this test is used by a lot of psychologists to kind of explore how we think about, in this case, how we associate maleness and science careers and femaleness and science careers.
Yeah.
Or femaleness and non-science careers, which is traditionally how we've thought about these kinds of things, right?
Yeah.
So with this result that you got, it doesn't really mean very much on its own.
Yeah.
The cool thing is the experiment we did.
Right.
Because what did you read at the beginning, Isabelle? You were reading a few little tweets. Do you remember what those things said?
No.
Okay. It's
Sorry.
okay. Well, one test was about how women are getting more into science careers.
Yeah.
And the other one was how women are deciding not to be in science careers.
Yeah. I do remember now.
Okay.
I did read them.
So what we did is we did something called priming you. And we primed you guys as well.
How did you prime me?
So priming is a technique that psychologists use to put a certain set of ideas inside your head. Or reinforce a certain set of ideas that you may already be thinking about. And in this case, it was the association between science and gender.
Yeah.
Okay? And then we had you do the gender ion.
Now,
I'll take that.
do
from
you
don't have to
know
keep
which
holding it.
way you primed me?
I'd have to check. I can't remember. But
okay.
we'll check.
I'm intrigued.
So yes, now we're going to be able to see the results. So Rachel, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you this because we are missing a cord today. So I'll let you put that in and plug that into the laptop, and we're going to take a look at the data. So now we're getting a chance to see what each and every one of you guys collected, and then we're going to talk about it and make sense of it together.
Okay.
And I've never done this experiment before.
Do you know what? This is the best part about science,
Yes.
and this is always my
Yes.
favorite part about any experiment is like first time look at the results
Yes.
and see what it's
And see, exactly.
because it's never what you think
think.
it's going to be.
I know.
What?
So, Rachel, if you could bring up those results when you get a chance. Oops. I'm going to just try and figure out which treatment you were in.
Ah.
Yes, so you were in treatment. We did gender and science. You were
So I was
tested
in A.
So you would, women finding themselves through art therapy. So there we were trying to reinforce the idea that women,
Do arts.
yes,
Right.
which is not true. Because obviously
Well,
you're a woman and you do
Some
science.
some women do arts and some
Yeah, some-
women do other things.
Exactly, and some men do arts as well.
Yeah.
So, but the kind of interesting thing we can look at is how our implicit biases and how everyone answered these questions and how it affects our perception,
Yeah.
how we perceive these things in society.
Okay. Yeah.
So, yeah, Rach, if you could bring those up on screen, we'll take a look. And hopefully we'll be able to see those results as well. If we could change the questioning file to what we've got going. Yep, there we go. So we've got we've got a really neat difference over there on the left. We'll see if we can zoom that in a little bit.
Yeah.
But here are the results of our gender aisle. And on the left, the screen is so far away.
It's so small
but
and
it's
so
okay.
far away.
We can get up now because they can't see us.
Oh.
So on the left is, so we've got the science and gender. So we'll do, yeah, there we go, that's perfect.
Oh, yeah.
So if we look at the plot on the right,
Yeah.
we see the science plot. So that one we've got an interesting kind of thing. Oh, you know, what I'll do actually is I forgot. These are, actually we'll just, sorry everyone, a little bit of a bug. These are the results that you guys did today. We are gonna get those results. A second, now this is really embarrassing.
The beauty of live.
I know. There we go, here are the results. And we'll pop them up top. And there we go. There we go, yes! Okay, those are the results that you guys actually collected here.
Okay, all right.
So this is legit, you guys did this, right, all live and everything.
Now,
So-
what are we looking at?
So we've got our science plot on the right, and those individuals that had the female treatment. So the treatment
Like
where,
me.
yeah, no, the opposite of you.
Okay.
Where it was the one where we reinforced the idea
Yeah.
that women belong in science.
Okay,
And
yes.
they are
yes,
having
yes.
scientific careers.
Yeah.
If we look at that, that is a much higher D score, even though it's on the negative, because we still implicitly kind of think about women not belonging in science, which is a societal kind of thing.
Yes.
We see that our manipulation actually improved how people thought about women in science. Because if you look at the comparison to men, the male treatment, which is the one that you got,
Yeah.
it would had a much stronger bias into thinking men belonged in science.
Well, I have to be honest.
Hmm.
Some of the last ones that
Were
I
tough.
did, they were tough, and there were some times where I saw engineering and I actually went for male
Because that's that implicit
instead
thing
of
that we're talking about.
science. Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
this is what we mean. This is an underlying thing. So to me, what this really, well, actually, I want to ask you, what do you think that this kind of shows us? I know I'm putting you on the
I
spot,
mean-
aren't I? But you're good.
Society just has. Science used to be a male
Yeah.
discipline, right? I mean, even not that long ago, but we'll still say long time ago,
Yep.
it was only men
Yeah,
who
absolutely.
were allowed to do science. Women weren't even allowed to do science.
Yeah, which is crazy.
And that's changed, and it's still changing. We're not there yet.
Yep,
But it's kind of ingrained in us
it is.
implicitly.
Exactly.
We don't even realize it.
And that's what these data here kind of show. Because they're both in the negative values, we're all kind of, associating science with a male kind of career.
Yeah.
But
I
what
mean, when I was
Yeah.
a kid, not that long ago.
I like that. That's a good wink, by the way, also. Well done.
It
Yeah.
was mostly men.
Yeah.
It really was. I feel like it's only really changed maybe in the last 10 years.
I would agree with you. But if you look at these data right here, what we've got in this treatment where we reinforce the idea that women belong in science, look at the response. Even in those 5 little headlines, we see all of you guys out there associating women in science much more strongly. So I think that's really cool because it speaks to the things that you do in the science communication that you do all the time.
So I guess what you're saying is if we prime
Yeah.
the rest of society and kind of show everyone
Yeah.
that women are amazing scientists
And belong there.
engineers and technologists
Yes.
and mathematicians,
Yes.
eventually that'll change the culture.
Exactly.
That'll change our implicit
Exactly.
ideas of science.
Yes. And how can we prime the public to do that?
Through games?
I guess we could. but through highlighting folks like yourself that do amazing, amazing science. And demonstrating to you guys out there that you guys can do that science.
Well, and that's an interesting point actually, Mike, because yes, having, women role models doing science is really important, and that's a major thing. But it's also, a lot of young girls in primary school, they don't have as much interest in science. And it seems like because, that societal culture is, girls and science don't really go together. They kind of turn off science. And they don't do, in high school, science is an elective for year 10, 11, 12?
In senior years anyway,
And so then young women don't take science as much in high school, which then means they don't do university science, which means they don't become scientists. And so, yes, having women as role models is really important, but also getting young girls excited about science and, knowing that that's something that they can actually achieve and really do, that'll make a huge difference too.
I totally agree. So Daniel DeHaan has a question. Would the results change depending on which gender you matched with which career first? And I'll take that one because I know a little bit more about that. Yes, so that's exactly what it's doing. It's measuring how quickly you're matching the maleness and the femaleness to the different names. And so that's exactly what it's measuring. And the question, what does the term D-score mean? So the D-score is just, it's just a difference in how we think about associating the maleness and the femaleness towards the different careers. So it's just a value or a name, just like we call things millimeters, and that's a measurement. This is just called a D-score, and it's the measure of how much you deviate from one direction or another. So, I think you brought up a really, really good point, that we have to reinforce, the society has to reinforce that. Everyone belongs in science. And I've had a really great career, but I've had the opportunity to work with a lot of awesome women, and we're going to hopefully work together a little bit and a little bit doing all this outreach stuff, which I'm really excited about. So it means that, getting the men and women to interact and collaborate more is so much more important as well.
So important. Yeah, definitely. When you look on social media, you hear a lot about, there's a lot of blame, right?
Yes, there's always going to be.
There's a lot of blame, but really it's just about women and men working together to change that culture. And to change that culture in the workplace too. Women have children, and then they have to take leave to have children and to look after the tiny little babies. And that's actually really hard to take that break from work if you're a scientist, and then come back, and how do you come back? So, all that stuff, that also needs to change to make it easier and better for women to be in science. But, that's everywhere too, not just science.
That's true.
And STEM.
But it's only through discussions like these, and you guys actively thinking about things where these things will kind of change. So it's important to talk about.
Conversations.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
So keep those questions coming through. If you guys have any questions about the experiment that we did, or some hypotheses about why things are happening, I should actually check the time. I'm not sure. These guys may have to go to.
What?
Well, we don't. I think we only have a few more minutes.
Oh my gosh,
so
I know. So quick.
I know, time goes. It's a 45-minute show, and it's gone by really, really quickly. So I think we've got about another 10 minutes, and then I think you guys may have to go to your other class, which is kind of crazy, and we get to clean all this mess up.
You should see the mess.
It's a lot of equipment here, and everyone's been doing an amazing job. So now we have. So we also had that other test that looked at gender. And what was it? So gender versus career paths. It's that same kind of thing.
Right.
So if I was to.
Can people? these guys have this app and they can
Yeah.
they try it at some
Yeah,
point?
yeah.
Like,
If you guys want to do it right now, we can actually look at those results as well and see how things go. So give it a go if you'd like. You've got it all set up, and just pop it in and go back to gender versus career. And we can take a look at how we associate different sex roles with different career paths as well.
Yeah,
And then
yeah,
we can take a
cool.
look at those results.
yeah, why not?
So yeah, you guys do that.
guys
while we
feel like it?
continue. Yeah, while we continue talking.
Yeah, we'll keep
So-
chatting.
Yeah,
We're
exactly.
good at that.
So this is what this show really is all about as well, is getting people to do that hands-on science that you said was so important.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, there's this analogy I love where, you know, you can't, if you were to expect every kid in Australia to know how to play rugby,
Yeah.
by the time they graduate high school, and you only, you know, in primary school, you only taught them about the rules of
Yep.
rugby. And then in high school, you only
Yeah.
showed them how to, you know, throw the ball. And, you know, by the end, by year 12 maybe, then you get them to play a game of rugby. By the time they graduate, are they going to all be rugby players? No. Right? So it's the same with science. If you're not actually doing science, how can you possibly know
Yeah.
what it's like? And how can you possibly really, truly understand it? So,
And that's that kind of thing that fascinates me about education in general. You know, as I have kids at home, so as we raise kids, we teach them to talk and they practice.
yeah.
They learn how to walk and they practice
Yeah.
walking. Then it's a bike, and then it's all these sports. Then they go to school and they learn to read and they practice that. They learn maths and they practice maths. And then science is just this
It's a
thing you never practice.
different, yeah. Yeah, it's a different, I don't know, discipline that's just,
Yeah.
I mean, and I understand that it's sometimes hard to
It
actually.
is.
But, you know, I mean, science is everywhere.
It
It's
is.
just about curiosity, and
Absolutely.
you can do it.
So, do you think that everyone should be a scientist?
No.
But everyone should try science?
Yes.
And why is that?
I think that, well, when you don't know what you like or don't like unless you try it, right?
Absolutely.
It's like broccoli.
Yes. I love broccoli now, actually.
Yeah, well, me too.
Yeah. But anyway.
But I didn't when I was a kid.
Yeah.
But also, not everybody needs to be a scientist, but everyone needs to understand science. Like,
Beautifully put.
you
yeah.
know, a basic amount. And at least, not necessarily facts. I mean, you don't need to know all these facts about
Yep.
science. But what you need to understand is how science works. And that's really important because
Yep.
when you're making decisions, you know, later in life and you're, well, not later in life, just now, any day, every day,
All the time.
you need to understand how science works to
Yep.
be able to make those decisions in an informed way,
Yep.
or, you know, just apply it to everyday life. So,
Absolutely.
no, not everyone should be a scientist. Not everyone likes science, but
That's
at least
fine.
understanding the basic, fundamental, you know, nature of science,
Yep.
that's, yes. And the only way you can do that is by actually doing it.
I totally agree, because, you know, I guess a mechanic may not think of them as themselves as a scientist, but if you look at a car and you go, something doesn't sound right. Well, let me check. It's one of these two things. Let me check which one it is. That's essentially creating an experiment, isn't it?
Yeah.
And you take one part out, you see if the problem's fixed, and you put a new part in, see if the problem's fixed. Or if it doesn't, and you try the other one. And that's, you know, critical, logical kind of thinking, which is just so important and fundamental to science, isn't it?
But also just knowing as
Yeah.
a non-mechanic to not put water in your gas tank, petrol tank,
It's
petrol
true.
tank.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, no, there's no gas tanks here. They're all petrol tanks.
Because you understand that you know, they don't go together,
Absolutely.
and the damage that it'll do to your car. So just
Yep.
super basic stuff. But yeah, it's really important.
Cool. I think you did an awesome job doing that test today, by the way.
Thank
You were
you.
worried about playing games.
I was really worried.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not, I don't play video games. I know that's really lame, but
No, it's not. Not everyone needs to play video games, just like not everyone needs to do science.
yeah.
You do lots of other cool things.
Yeah, I'm into sports
Yeah.
mostly, so yeah, it's the sports more than the video games
Yeah,
for
that's
me.
fine.
But that was really fun.
It was a
Really
little bit
interesting.
different. Yeah, so we got some cool results. We can actually, I wonder if we could check out the results if the other side of the graph is. Okay, we're wrapping. Okay, I'm being told that we're wrapping up. So, which camera am I looking at this time? I'll just say goodbye to everyone. Camera one? Okay, excellent. Everyone, thank you so much for joining us today. It was our first show, so thank you for putting up with all the hiccups. Isabelle, I want to thank you for joining us.
Thank
Can
you.
High five. So, if you like what you saw, this is the time where I get to ask you to hit that subscribe button, join up, send us an email and let us know what you think. Put something else in the comments and let us know how we can improve this show and make it better for you. And, you know, teachers out there, we want to do this in your classroom every 2 weeks. And we can bring some awesome scientists like Isabelle to your classroom so your students can interact with real scientists. So at this point, I'll let it go there. Thanks so much again, Isabelle.
Good job, Mike.
Oh, thank you.
Good job, team.
Yeah, team. Thank you so much, Rachel, for being in the background there and making sure everything works. So we'll say bye for now, everyone, and we'll see you guys all later.
See ya.
Thanks again. All right, there we go. Okay, but now we're actually off, I think.